and I'll never back down. In the middle of the ring is where I lay the smack down. Against all odds, I will always prevail. So when you step to me, it's like hell in a cell.
Greetings and salutations, this is Christopher Daniels. I'm talking to my main man Delzinski right now. Any video game show, any video game channel, any YouTube channel called Vintage Shizzle is indeed hashtag Daniels approved.
Yo, alright guys, Delzinski here. Welcome to another We Talk Weekend. And as always, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Smack Talks. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing well, man. How's you?
Not bad, I'm not bad. I'm feeling a little bit ropey.
Are you suffering from last night?
Yeah, a little bit.
I think everyone feels like that when they go to a TNA show.
Oh, that's harsh. That's rude.
You're not the only one.
How rude. It was quite good. I'll give you that. Last night I went to TNA for their UK Impact tour at Wembley Arena, and I would say it was interesting. The only thing I just kind of mention about TNA, if you go and see it live, it's quite a confusing thing to watch, just on the basis that you're almost watching 3 shows in one night or more, and that's really difficult to follow, considering that they're taping so far in advance. And for me last night, that was kind of something that was a little bit of a downer. And considering I've been how many years have I been? I think I've been for the last 3 years. The crowd has always been huge and electric and stuff like that. And I felt the crowd this time as well. You could see it wasn't as busy as it always has been. So it does give me that concern that the UK audience is dwindling a little bit when it comes to TNA now. And that's the first time ever that I think I've said that in regards to the UK Impact tours.
Yeah, it sounds strange. Do they usually not have it so, the TV's kind of up to date when they come over here, and then they usually tape that in advance? So it's a bit strange we've already taped so much in advance and everyone's kind of left behind and not knowing what's going on.
Well, they build this London show as being a lockdown pay-per-view. So I thought we were just going to have a whole evening of lockdown. So it'd be all the matches and, we'd have Lethal Lockdown. But whether or not I've missed something here, we definitely didn't have the entire lockdown pay-per-view. I'm sure we didn't. There should have been more than that. But as well, in addition to having lockdown matches, we had Impact matches. And then as well, we had at the end, we had some one-night only pay-per-view matches for this Joker's Wild thing. And it was it was just it was confusing though, because originally it started off as, I think, it was at Impact, then it jumped to Lockdown, then I had to take the cage down, then I had to go back to the net, and I was just like, it's too much, all of this. And one thing I have to point out, the matches were good. The matches were good. The Lockdown matches were cool. Ethan Carter, definitely, again, a massive standout. And now, I don't think I'm giving any sort of spoiler away here, but because when I watched Impact last, this had technically happened. They did a double turn, and they had Matt Hardy become heel, and Ethan Carter is now a face. Now, I was sitting there, and I've got a review Impact for this week, so I'll give more details on this tonight, but I was really against seeing Ethan Carter become a face, because I just think he's such a good heel. Why would you want to do that? But he's actually become a decent face. I mean, I guess people liked him anyway, being the fact that he was a cool kind of heel. So he is working to a degree what they've done. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I don't know why you want to do that so soon. I feel there was a lot more longevity in his heel character, and it feels like they kind of maybe just did it all a little bit too quick. So that kind of concerned me quite a bit. And I don't know. It's not the same as it used to be, that's for sure. The worst bit, the biggest bit that I can say, there was 2 bits. The audio and the sound has never been so bad.
Is that not the same thing, audio and sound?
No, yeah, it is the same thing. But in terms of what I mean is on the mic, so the microphone segments, I could barely hear them sometimes. So that's bad. Like someone's doing a promo, and I can't hear them. Example, Ethan Carter, and again, I don't think this is much of a spoiler, but Ethan Carter came out to do a promo, and he sat on the steps outside the six-sided ring with the cage around it, so he didn't get in the ring, right? First of all, I can't see him because where I am, and I mean, that's not any one floor, apart from if you're on the rampway, you wouldn't have been able to see him sitting and do his promo. They didn't even put it on the screen, which was above, which would have been decent, and the audio was so hard to hear from the mic. Now, when I talk about the sound I'm talking about is the actual entrance music. It's supposed to feel like surround sound. If you go to WWE, like everything's around you, and it wasn't at TNA. It was almost just at that entrance area, and then as it got further out, it got less and less and less until it was like, it just didn't sound good. It wasn't crisp. And
was it just like speakers on stage?
Yeah, and I mean that's production value. You expect more than that. Like, you expect TNA to be trying to make those things work. But there was a few botches in there as well. I mean, they someone again hitting the music button when they shouldn't. That just fucks me off. Like, I know they'll edit that out when the show goes live, but to do that in front of a live audience is really, really annoying. They already did it once with Beer Money a few weeks back, and they've done it again. So that person, whoever's pressing those buttons backstage, needs to be sorted out. Yeah, it's an interesting one. If you go to a TNA show, that's what I probably want to hear from people in the comment section. Do you enjoy watching the show because it's so cut up and so like fragmented? Like, does it to you? Can you sit there and think, well, I've had an amazing night? Because before I never used to always feel that way. I used to enjoy it, but it was a bit too much this year. I couldn't get to grips with the fact that we had 3 shows going on, and these were all being taped for like the 28th of February onwards, I think, or just around that period. That's quite a long way away. So I've missed, a good chunk of storyline, and I'm seeing people coming out with things that they didn't have before, and it's like, it just kind of blows your mind a bit. You're like, well, I've been following TNA for weeks now. I'm up to date, but I'm really not.
Yeah, it's a strange one. It kind of puts me off going to see it a little bit if they're taping so far in advance. Because, like you say, if you're involved in something, you really enjoy it on TV, and you go to actually see it and see how it plays out, find it's completely different, and none of it really makes sense. Someone's turned face, someone's turned heel, someone's got a title, someone hasn't. It throws it all up in the air, and you don't know who you're supposed to be cheering, or if this guy's a face, is it a heel? I don't know anymore. It changes so often, so it kind of just ruins it. Maybe you just got things wrong, though. Maybe it wasn't like a lockdown pay-per-view. Maybe you're just locked in the arena because people are just ready to walk out.
Oh, that's a bit rude. See, what's up with you? Why are you hating on TNA so much?
Well, I've got to. Someone has to. I'm the heel commentator here.
Oh, right. Okay. So you're like the...
Although you do all the complaining, so...
You're like the shitty Pope, yeah?
The shitty Pope? Don't bring that TNA crap. Oh man, I'm going to have to be JBL. Maybe I should stick with Pope.
God, you're such a pro WWE guy. I mean, you didn't like WCW, you don't like TNA. Oh God, PG boy or what?
It's all out of WWE. The Attitude Era. No PG.
Oh God. Yeah.
We talking PG.
No. Yeah, we definitely know We Talk isn't PG. Yeah, so it was. The matches were good. Ethan Carter had a match with Matt Hardy. It was good. Matt Hardy's working well as a heel. I like him as a heel. I never doubted that he'd be a problem as a heel. It was quite interesting. I went with Weeds to it, and obviously Weeds used to do We Talk with me. And this guy in front of us, who sat in front of us, right? He kept on. He was quite small. Yeah, he's like little man syndrome, but like he kept wooing. Right, so he just kept. So I said to Weeds.
Was he wooing you?
No.
Or Weeds?
Just right. You think Ric Flair's not there, right?
Yeah.
Woos usually happen when someone gets chopped. Yeah, but he was wooing anyway. Whatever was happening, he was just going woo all the time, right? So
was this Ric Flair?
He kind of. I thought he was Ric Flair.
I could let it pass if it was Ric Flair.
So I tweeted last night. I was like, this is a bit of a woo-off going to go down in a minute, because I said to Weeds, look, maybe every time he woos, because we're sitting behind him, and he was with his girlfriend as well, so obviously the ultimate date going to TNA. And I said every time he woos, we'll woo, yeah. So we, so he wooed, and I was like woo, and then Weeds was like woo, and then right, I just thought he'd maybe give up, but he obviously cottoned on to what we were doing, right. and he went full Ric Flair. He started going, woo, 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 moving his arms, doing the whole Ric Flair thing. We were like,
Did you carry it on?
holy shit. I couldn't stop laughing.
Why weren't you recording it?
Because I didn't want him to turn around. I'd just be like, hello.
That would have been perfect.
But oh my God, it was so fun. And his girlfriend, right?
Did she join in?
She kept wooing as well a little bit, but not as bad as Little Man Flair. And I said to Weeds, I said, you know, you never go full Flair. You never go full Flair. And he went full Flair.
It's an unwritten rule.
He went there. So he was just going woo 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 woo. It was like when we went to Manchester, and Flair kept doing those woos. That's what he went and started strutting in his chair.
That's crazy. I've just got
Totally crazy.
I've got like a picture of the people behind you though, going, what's these two idiots doing? What they're wooing for? There's no Ric Flair.
I know.
They're having the same conversation on some of their podcast about you guys.
Probably. And his girlfriend, she was a massive Matt Hardy fan. And at one point, she was cheering him so much, she nearly fell over the chair. I had to balance her. I had to, like, put my hands on her hips and say, look, stand still, love. Oh, my God. These two were a nightmare.
Oh, man. TNA crowds. What have they come to?
And we had Bruce Grobbelaar there. Not the real Bruce Grobbelaar, just some pikey that looked like Bruce Grobbelaar with a little tash as well. He kept getting told off by the stewards. If you're listening to We Talk, Bruce, I mean, you know, those years of, you know, all those cheap goals that you let in, taking bribes and everything, they've really taken your toll on you, mate. Sorry.
See, I thought you were going to say that the woman fell off the chair and he tried to catch her and missed.
Oh,
or maybe
that's
he's
a good
been
one.
paid and he just left it.
That's a good one. So, yeah, it was an interesting crowd. It was interesting.
How would you compare the action itself to the last couple of years? Like, taking out the storyline elements, the matches themselves, did it still live up to it? Or?
Well, it was difficult because, like, there was these cage matches, these lockdown matches, which were okay. Like, I think the women's...
But lockdown used to be an amazing main event. Like, I could sit there watching all these cage matches and think, you know, in WWE, I'd be sick of a pay-per-view full of cage matches, but lockdown was always a bit special. Like, the cage matches always seemed different, and I could happily sit there for, like, the 3 hours of it.
I wouldn't say that they went and pulled out all the stops with some of the cage matches. Some of the finishes are kind of already... I already knew who was going to win, you know what I mean? And that takes a little bit of the edge off of it. I would say...
So did it feel like, you know, a WWE UK show where you know something's not going to happen?
Well, it was an attempt, or it was more storyline driven this year as opposed to just putting on great matches. I felt like if I go back to last year when the belt changed hands with Kurt Angle and Bobby Lashley, I marked out when that happened. I thought that was amazing. I thought that was an awesome piece of work by TNA to do that, and the crowd was electric for it. This year, I wouldn't say there was anything that people were too electric about, apart from seeing some of the British talent that were there, because we had like Will Ospreay, we had Big Damo from ICW, Grado was there, of course. Grado was looking slightly different than he normally does. So people were hyped for seeing the British guys. EC3, Matt Hardy got a good he got a lot of boos, but that shows he's working a good heel. But I just felt it wasn't as good as previous years, and that's a bit of a worry, because when you start seeing that, then you kind of acknowledge that TNA has had quite a significant decline. And as much as they're trying, something's not working still. I thought the Miracle, Mike Bennett, was good there again. He kind of... They're doing good things, but then there are still problems. Big problems.
Well, I haven't seen him since his debut, but he's someone that I was looking forward to, like especially with Maria. I think Maria's like such a good manager. Was she there as well?
She was, and I think because what you mentioned to me before we talked today that Kong got sent home for having an altercation, and that kind of now answers why something happened on Impact, where I just kind of thought, or Lockdown, I just thought, what's going on here? This is weird. So, again, like I say, taping in advance is a real pain in the arse, because now I know things that I don't need to know when I'm going to have to review the event. Like, each week I'm going to watch TNA and I'm going to think, oh, that was why that happened, was it? And whereas...
How long was this event? Because you mentioned they're doing like Lockdown, Impact, one night only.
We thought it was going to be over by 8 o'clock when they finished the lockdown stuff. We thought it was
What time did it start?
Started at 7. So we were like, oh, they're finished. They're taking the cage down. Maybe that's it then. But no, it went on to 11.
That's a long time, 4 hours.
Yeah, and they had, I mean, the one night only stuff, I wouldn't have put that at the end of the show. They should have put the lockdown stuff at the end and had a big payoff at the end. They did do something at the end, which was kind of cool, but I wouldn't have done the one night only stuff at the end. I didn't see it being worthwhile doing this Joker's Wild stuff, but that's the way they want to play it.
It feels like a warm-up that you would have that. It doesn't feel like a pay-per-view. I wouldn't be paying for one night only.
They don't even acknowledge that the things that happen on one night only pay-per-views. Like they said that Miracle Mike Bennett was debuting on TNA. They were saying that he was going to debut on Impact, and then he actually debuted on the one night only pay-per-view a few weeks back, but they just chose to not acknowledge that really happened until the last minute. It's annoying, like things like that. So I don't know. It was the first time that I've come to realization. I was just like standing there thinking, it's changing. It's not. It's like the UK crowd is not as strong as what it once was for TNA. So that's not good that I now recognise that.
It's a bad sign. Was the turnout good though?
What crowd?
Yeah.
So if you think NXT filled that whole arena, they every year they cut the arena a bit. TNA seats filled up, but seats weren't full from the beginning of the show. So it was almost like people were arriving late as well. It wasn't jam-packed. It wasn't sold out. So usually previous years, they do almost a pretty good job. And it was a lot more spacing. Like NXT seats were like, you were crammed, whereas they spaced the seats on the floor so much more that you could, easily move around the arena. So it just goes to show that they didn't have the pull that they used to have. So yeah.
Well, you'll have to let us know next time you're going down, because if you get the tickets, I'll happily come along and I can moan about it with you.
Ah, excellent. Yeah, well, you're just going to be a heel anyway about it all, so you fit in nicely.
Well, you found everything to complain about. I tweeted you saying I'd wish you like the best to enjoy it, but I'm sure you'll find something to complain about. Mm-hmm. An hour later, you were complaining.
But wouldn't you, if you've been there 3 years in a row, yeah, and you've seen the company fill that stadium to a degree, not stadium, fill that arena to quite a degree, and over the years, you've seen it consistently be filled, and you know that the UK is your best audience, and then you go to this year and it's not quite the same, wouldn't you think to yourself, well, there is the decline?
I would, and it's sad to say. It's a sad state of TNA. Hopefully they can turn it around.
It is something. They've got a lot of work on their hands to do, but we'll wait and see how it plays out. Right. So we've done talking TNA, and what we're going to talk about on the rest of this show is we're going to talk about WWE, or as Xavier Woods would say, the WWE stuff, basically.
Stuff?
We're going to talk about the Royal Rumble.
You mean the far superior product?
Wouldn't go too far. I wouldn't say it's been.
You wouldn't go too
epic
far. Let's compare
moment,
TNA to that amazing Royal Rumble.
Really? We're going to go there and say it was an amazing Royal Rumble? Are we going to go there and say that it was an amazing Royal Rumble? If we pick the bones out of it, then there is a different way to look at it.
What's going on here? Mr. Negativity, what's wrong with the WWE?
Totally not negative, right? The Royal Rumble was a good pay-per-view. It wasn't an amazing pay-per-view. That's over-analysing something to make it sound like it was better than what it was. It wasn't an amazing pay-per-view.
Oh, I know where you're going with this. You're going with the ending.
I'm going with a couple of things. I don't think Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose was an amazing match. You telling me that it was an amazing match? Amazing.
Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens?
Amazing.
It was an awesome match. The table spots alone.
It's a strong word to say it was amazing at the beginning. And I thought it was good. I thought it would have made a lot more sense if they'd done throughout the evening, played the Dean Ambrose card well or better than what they did, possibly have Owens pick up the belt and use Ambrose at the end of the finish of the Royal Rumble. That's what I would have thought would have been the best move for them to do. It would have been a shock. And the reason why I say, right, you were like, oh well, this was like the right decision to have Triple H win the Royal Rumble, right?
I believe it was.
You believe it was now, right? But you take into consideration what this is building towards, and then you tell me that you think that was the best scenario when they could have shocked everybody and gone with Dean Ambrose. And I'm not saying that I wanted Dean Ambrose to win the Royal Rumble, but for the shock element, for something that was a bit different, we always knew it was going to be Reigns or Triple H winning the Rumble. We knew that. If they'd gone with Ambrose, that would have shocked us all. Now they didn't, and Triple H won the Royal Rumble. That's fine. Roman Reigns didn't win the Royal Rumble. I think everybody wanted that to happen. But making that decision, all you're doing is prolonging Triple H to go on to WrestleMania, to headline WrestleMania, and have Roman Reigns beat him for the belt on the biggest stage of them all. We're potentially looking at Roman Reigns beating Triple H, and he will be booed out of the building. He will be booed throughout that Texas stadium. Why is that a good booking decision towards the end of the Royal Rumble when we look at the bigger picture here?
That's not set in stone. We've got a triple threat at Fastlane, so Dean Ambrose could still get his shot. You could still get your man there.
So you think that there's an opportunity that Roman Reigns will not headline WrestleMania?
I never said that, obviously. I just think it'd be a bit weird if Dean Ambrose won the championship at the Royal Rumble.
Anything can happen in the Royal Rumble, and it never does. It wasn't anything can happen at the Royal Rumble. That's what the Royal Rumble is meant to be about. Anything can happen. What actually happened was what everyone expected. Triple H was number 30. And
anything cannot happen at the Royal Rumble. You're not going to get Zack Ryder come out rocking the WWE Championship the night after. It's not going to happen.
It's not that, yeah, but you're taking things to the extreme. All I'm asking for is a bit of shock value. I think
that would be shock value.
Of course. But there were other options. There were other lanes they could have gone down. They could have looked at Bray Wyatt. They could have looked at Dean Ambrose. Brock Lesnar. The whole build of the Royal Rumble was the fact of the matter that it was going to be Lesnar looking to take down Reigns. They never even had an altercation. Do you want to know why? Because Roman Reigns was booked like a massive coward for the whole Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns, right, is basically the top heel in the company without even having to do anything. He was such a coward. He got put through a table. He doesn't get stretchered out. He walks to the back. So what's he doing in the back? He's sitting on his ass, waiting and waiting. He sees Brock Lesnar go out. He sees, most of the Wyatt family go out. He watches them all passing by, and then he comes back at the moment. He skipped half of the Rumble. One versus all. Bollocks. It wasn't that. And then you've got Kevin Owens, who's been in a match, a last man standing match, a huge last man standing match. It was a good last man standing match. He comes out, he drags himself, he's in so much pain. There's your top babyface in the company, dragging himself to the ring because that's the way it was booked as such. That's how Roman Reigns should have been coming back. Not just, here's Superman punch, wham, and I'm now going to hit the ring and take everybody out. It just booking wise, when we say that this was an amazing Royal Rumble, it was good. I'm giving you, it was good.
It doesn't sound like it was good from what you're saying.
But all right then. So what I've put to you there, do you disagree with all of the things I've just said there? Then.
I agree with what you said about Roman Reigns booking the way he was in the match. Mm-hmm. I thought that was awfully done because everyone knew he was going to come back into it. But then at the same time, what I thought was brilliant was the fact that I was sitting there, the rest of Twitter was all tweeting about it all. Oh no, Roman Reigns he's gonna go at the back, he's gonna sit out the whole match, he's gonna come back and he's gonna overcome the odds and he's gonna win it. And we're all gonna be in disarray, we're all gonna be complaining. And that was all what we kind of felt for. We all thought that was gonna happen. And even though we all kind of knew Triple H was gonna come out, we still thought Roman Reigns was gonna just eliminate Triple H. And when Triple H actually eliminated him, it was like, thank God they haven't actually done it. They totally fooled us because I thought they were going with that Reigns way. Like, they booked it that way on purpose to make you think Reigns is going to come back and win it. And it's going to be predictable. And it really wasn't. It shocked me because I thought Reigns is going to win this, but Triple H threw him out. It caught me off guard. I didn't think they were going to do that. I thought they were going for the easy route. And because of that, you keep saying, Roman Reigns, Triple H at WrestleMania, it's going to be booing them out the building. I think they've kind of smartened up a little. I don't think it's going to be as clean cut as that. I think they're going to have something planned. We might even get like someone else in the mix. We could get Dean Ambrose or someone in there. But in regards to the Rumble match itself, you complained about Bray Wyatt. I think that's the best he's been booked for at least the last couple of years since he come through. They took out the Beast.
No.
The week that he had Raw, SmackDown, he dominated. What are you complaining about?
I love it. I knew it was going to be like this week on the Royal Rumble review. I just knew it. I knew he was going to mention Bray Wyatt, and I knew he was going to say that.
Well, I knew you were going to mention him. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for you to drop that Bray Wyatt in there. And
yeah, I did drop Bray Wyatt in there because I know he wasn't booked right again. He was, but the Wyatt family was booked decent. This is look, decent. Man. I'm having to rein in. I'm having to rein in your awesomenesses and your amazingnesses and whatever double entendres you're going for, and I'm having to come in with the the solid line here and just bring you back down to earth a little bit, because maybe as a PG fan you're getting way too excited at the moment. Because
if Bray Wyatt had a decent week and he'd been booked the best he'd ever been on Raw, SmackDown, and he eliminated the Beast Brock Lesnar from the Royal Rumble.
He didn't eliminate the Beast.
The Wyatt family did. So there you go. Yeah. What would have made it more than decent if you just won the championship? No. Is that all you were waiting for?
Not at all.
But what else could they have done?
So you thought that the way that Bray Wyatt was thrown out of the Royal Rumble was good?
I think the way collectively
done that better. Couldn't have done
that. They were booked. I don't think he needed to actually win the Royal Rumble.
How did Bray Wyatt get eliminated? How did he get eliminated?
He went over the top rope.
Who by?
Doesn't matter.
No, it does matter. It does matter, right? Bray Wyatt, in that match, the Wyatt family looked decent, They were booked quite well. They eliminated the Beast. But what you needed to finish that off nicely, and it would have been better than doing what they did with him, because he just got tossed over the ropes. I think it was by Triple H in the end. I think Triple H eliminating heel there. And that's not the problem. That's not the main problem. But there was a better way to keep Bray Wyatt looking, or at least keep him invested in what's going on at the moment. So, Brock Lesnar hits the ring, eliminates them all, bar Bray, right? Then, they come back in, they eliminate Brock, right? What needed to happen there? When has Brock Lesnar ever just walked away from a fight? Well, even when he attacked Bo Dallas months ago, he walked away, he came back, he F5'd him again. He walked away, he came back again. He'd done another move to him. German suplexes. Brock Lesnar is a beast, and he's never happy with just doing something once, or if someone's, got one up on him, 9 times out of 10, Lesnar's going to get in and kick your ass anyway. So why the fuck does Brock Lesnar get eliminated and then just look at the ring and think, my time is up, and Bray Wyatt is still in the match? Lesnar should have hit the ring again, and it should have been a brawl which took out Bray Wyatt, and at that time, you've eliminated Bray Wyatt, and he hasn't lost any face at all. When he gets eliminated by Triple H, it's almost like a nothing elimination again. It's exactly like last year when he just got dumped out. He just gets dumped out again. There was no meaning to his elimination. It didn't feel like a big deal. It's like, see ya. It's a big deal if Brock Lesnar eliminates him. So storyline, it just doesn't work again. You're just treating him like everybody else. He should be treated special because he's a special character that they've got there. His gimmick is special, but it doesn't feel like it when Triple H just goes, see ya.
God, you love Bray Wyatt.
I don't love Bray Wyatt. I just think that when you have somebody who has that much potential, who could have been your next Undertaker or is your next Grim Reaper, and you just keep booking him like a heap of shit, and you just think, oh, see ya, mate. I just think that's wrong.
It would have been cool if Lesnar had come back in and just eliminated him. Correct. But at the same time, I think you've kind of got to keep a few things. And the way things are going, I see the Wyatts, having another outing with Lesnar at Fastlane, because Lesnar's in the main event. So I can see them costing him the championship match. And like the Rumble, the reason I was happy with it is it kind of sets up Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar, or even, a handicap match against Lesnar if he can take them all on. I would actually like to see that. I would like to see a big spectacle match for Bray Wyatt against Brock Lesnar. I think that'll be really good to see. Lesnar going up against the Wyatts. It gives the Wyatts a chance to really dominate Lesnar, which is something that we haven't really seen. And I think if they do that at Fastlane, if they just appear at the end of the pay-per-view, take out Lesnar again, it continues to send that message, and then that sets up the WrestleMania match. And I think that is great for Bray Wyatt, because we're probably not going to get him around the championship picture just yet. But if he has a strong showing against Brock Lesnar, it kind of then forces him into that championship match.
But the only way that Bray Wyatt can beat Brock Lesnar is with his collective team, because he's not been booked strong enough to be able to just go toe-to-toe with a Lesnar. That's why it's so disappointing to look at. You could have made Bray Wyatt powerful enough to take on the Beast.
Would you really look at Bray Wyatt though and say he is powerful enough to take on Lesnar?
He's a good enough brawler. He could be an alternative.
No way. I would say you have to have the Wyatt family in there, and it cheapens them if they're just, the stooges around ringside. They've got to get involved. It makes the Wyatt family more powerful.
They can get involved, but I think that you look at someone like The Undertaker who can go toe-to-toe with him, but Bray Wyatt has obviously been fallen by The Undertaker on a couple of occasions now. So what it just doesn't... I just don't think it works now. It's really irritating. It's bad booking. They should have made that the Rumble a lot more about when Lesnar was eliminated. Lesnar was having none of that, and he hits the ring again, and then he eliminates Bray, and then the feud just keeps on ticking along nicely. It didn't require Triple H to dump him out. Triple H was just Triple H came in like Triple H would, like a god, and he just started throwing them out left, right, and centre. And that was the big complaint last year, that the Big Show and Kane just, picked people up like babies and dropped them out. Why is it fine for Triple H to do it then?
Because he's the game. He's the king of kings.
It's just there's no argument to it, because we all know that's true.
No, he's a legend though. He's one of them mans that, a legend can come back and do that because of what they've done. It's not like a newcomer like a Kevin Owens or whatever, just throwing people out randomly. Triple H has that sort of legend status, powerful, the game, everything that we've come to know about him. He can kind of get away with it. And I think, we're always going to get Triple H and Roman Reigns. Why not make it about the championship? That's their story. It's all been about the championship. So it makes sense to have that in there. It would make less sense to have someone like a Dean Ambrose or Bray Wyatt as the champion. And, Triple H is trying to keep the championship under the role of the Authority when he's booked in a match that isn't even regarding the championship. He's too busy focusing on Roman Reigns. Why not make it about the championship? I think it adds to it. We could get something different at WrestleMania where, something happens with Reigns and he goes, he kind of turns heel or something like that. Because the match that we had at TLC, where he won the championship and then he got cashed in on, then he went badass and he took out Triple H, and that was what wrote him off TV. Everyone was behind Reigns then because it was the badass Reigns that we all want to see. If he does that at WrestleMania, he goes all out, and this is like a really brutal match, I can see people getting behind him, even if it's just for that one night for WrestleMania.
I can't. Because he was booked. Triple H was at the Royal Rumble in Florida. That's like NXT country. Everybody loves Triple H in Florida. They love him there. He was the face from the offset on the night, and I genuinely don't think that Reigns is going to be able to turn the corner again and get cheered again. You can spear Triple H, you can do things. I don't think that everyone will be cheering him when he comes out of WrestleMania. And I was just to touch on that note with the whole elimination bit. Why couldn't you have had a swerve where possibly Triple H and Roman Reigns take each other out, and Dean Ambrose becomes champion, leading to a big swerve that Dean Ambrose joins the Authority?
Well, it would have been interesting if Ambrose won, but I think Ambrose is someone that I have mixed feelings about because his booking's been so all over the place.
Everyone's has.
Well, Ambrose especially, more than anyone. It's strange to think of him suddenly in the championship picture because he hasn't been built up. Bray Wyatt's been built up better than he has the last couple of weeks. I just think it is really strange, and now we see him in the main event for Fastlane. And when you think it's a triple threat, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Brock Lesnar, I kind of see this could be the chance to give Ambrose that heel turn. It's just strange because if we have Roman Reigns win it, which is the obvious one, goes on to WrestleMania, faces Triple H. If Brock Lesnar wins, he could face Triple H. I could maybe see that, but they've kind of hinted with the Wyatt stuff. I think we'll probably get Wyatt and Lesnar. That then leaves Ambrose or Reigns. It's a strange one because I see if Ambrose wins, it'd be great to see. But then I maybe see a triple threat at WrestleMania, and that changes up a little bit because I don't really see Ambrose fitting into something else if Lesnar pairs up with Bray Wyatt. Ambrose is again that man that's left out. So I think it might work better to put a triple threat in at WrestleMania, Triple H, Roman Reigns, so content on taking each other out, and then you get your wish, Dean Ambrose, the surprise choice, WrestleMania champion. Everyone happy?
Possibly. It just makes it all a lot more. It's if you review the whole booking of it again, it just makes it all a lot more difficult than it really needed to be. Like, you look at Dean Ambrose being placed in the world title picture, and he's got the Intercontinental title. Wouldn't it not have been better to drop the belt and then let him, pick up? If you're going to move him forward, you don't want to start having this issue like we had before with world titles and United States titles, where you've got someone with both belts, but they don't really need them. And it just happens again that this is where we're potentially angling towards, and it just, to me, it's just a cluster again. It wasn't necessary. There was so much that could have been done. And the only reason why I say that is just because the big cause concern will be if you do have Triple H versus Roman Reigns, and there is no cash-ins or anything like that you can do to save it now. You can have a triple threat, but does it always need to be a triple threat match at WrestleMania to get them out of jail? And it always feels that that's becoming the norm now. WWE...
I think it makes sense. So I think it's a good way. Like, if we were to get that, and obviously it's not booked, but if it does play out like that, and the Wyatts take out Lesnar, and we get Ambrose and Reigns kind of battling for that number one contender. If Ambrose wins it, Reigns suddenly gets in the match. I think it's a great way to have them concentrate, Reigns and Triple H, on each other, and Ambrose to kind of sneak that win. It's a good way to push him into that, that championship place, get that championship. And it's something that we're not really at the point now where he can get a championship. I think he needs something like that, or a Money in the Bank cash in, to kind of get him over that final hurdle, because he always seems to fall short.
Yeah, I don't know. I like I said, when I watched the pay-per-view from beginning to end, the Royal Rumble is quite a good Royal Rumble, but it's a good Royal Rumble on previous years being bad. I wouldn't say it was an exceptional Royal Rumble. I don't think it was that. I think it's a good Royal Rumble on the basis that the last few years we've had such shitty finishes. I thought this year's finish was better, but I wouldn't say it was amazing, as you put it.
Well, let's talk about something that was amazing, or something phenomenal, because I can't believe we've talked for an hour and we haven't mentioned this. A certain AJ Styles in the Royal Rumble. Surely that was amazing.
AJ Styles? Yes, that was amazing. That was one of the best bits of the Royal Rumble. In fact, I'd probably say it was the best bit of the Royal Rumble, seeing AJ come out. And I thought that AJ had a good innings. I'm not sure why people think that just because he didn't win the Royal Rumble, it means he didn't have a good innings. I thought, well, to be honest, he's never going to win the Royal Rumble. But I thought it was great. But can I mention one other thing? One other thing about this, about the booking of Roman Reigns when it comes to AJ Styles. So you've got your guy in the ring, right? You've got your guy that you want to be the top babyface in the company. He's standing in that ring, right? The camera is focused on Roman Reigns' face, right? AJ Styles comes out. Massive pop. Bigger pop than Roman Reigns has ever had in his career, right?
Yeah.
You book your top babyface to be the only man in the ring to face AJ Styles, who gets that pop. How or why would you think that's a good move? Again, adding more boos, more intensity to people to get on Roman Reigns' back. Am I just not understanding their booking that they want him to be a face? Because they don't seem to do it like they want him to be a face. That opened it up again to boos.
But it also made it even more of a pop for AJ Styles, because the thought of him eliminating Roman Reigns.
Of course. But that's not the end game, is it? The end game is to get Roman Reigns over as a face.
Yeah, but obviously, like, Roman Reigns was going to come back into this later and things would play out differently. So it wasn't like it was just these two, and it was AJ, trying to eliminate Roman Reigns, or Reigns eliminating AJ. The thought was in your head, though, surely, what if Roman Reigns suddenly eliminates AJ Styles and he just buries him?
Well, the worry was there from. I mean, they were smart. The way they eliminated AJ was clever. They went down the route of having Kevin Owens, and no one's gonna go and hate on Kevin Owens for eliminating AJ Styles because Kevin Owens has got that sort of pass because he's not been rammed down our throats, and a lot of people respect Kevin Owens. So if they had Roman eliminate him, God knows what it would have been like. But you know, with Kevin Owens, you don't get that sort of heat. But I just thought that was a bizarre thing to do. Considering, I think AJ would have got a huge pop anyway, regardless who's in the ring. But it was good. I like his theme music. There was a talk on a few podcasts that he wasn't going to have like that theme. He was going to have more of like a Rocky theme, like not Rocky the boxer, but like a rock theme. But this theme song's good. I really like it. It's really distinctive. Do you know what I thought though when I first heard the music? I thought The Godfather was coming out.
Well, I didn't know who it was. Like I seen, was it Rusev number 2? It was Roman Reigns and Rusev, I'm pretty sure.
Shit.
In the first 2. And I was like, oh man, I need to go make a drink. I'll make a cup of tea. So I went in the kitchen and I was making a cup of tea. Just put the tea bag in, put the water in. And then I heard the crowd shouting down from like 10. And I was like, oh crap, someone's coming out. And I ran back in so I didn't miss it. And I heard that music and it was looking at Roman Reigns' face. It's like, whose music is that? Like, I don't recognize that. And then all of a sudden when I heard the crowd pop, it was like in the back of my mind, I was like, could it be? Could it be AJ Styles this early? And then the cheers just got louder and louder. And eventually it went to AJ Styles. And it was like, oh my God, I can't believe he's actually here. But number 3, that was like what totally threw us off.
He had a good innings. He's definitely stayed in for a decent time. Did you think they botched the camera angles on the entrance? Because they have released these other camera angles now. Do you think that it was meant to be focused on Roman's face for that?
I think they were meant to at first, but then I think they meant to switch over to the Titantron, show the phenomenal bit, and I think that was what kind of they did botch up because they released that footage, like you said. I don't think they'd done that if they hadn't actually planned to do it. So I think that was a mishap. It kind of added to it though, watching it home, because it prolonged it. Where if I seen the Titantron, I would have known straight away as soon as it had phenomenal. Where listening to the crowd, it built my suspension, and I kind of just, it was more building up than if I would have seen the Titantron. So it kind of added to it, but I think they probably meant to show that Titantron in the first place.
And did you like his theme music?
I liked it. I thought it was really good. It was different to what I thought it would be. I thought it would be more like his TNA theme, but it fits well. I really like the one that he's gone with.
Yeah, I thought it was good. What do you think in terms of AJ Styles moving forward? Because obviously he had his match with Chris Jericho on Monday Night Raw. Chris Jericho had a great innings at the Royal Rumble. He was in there for a long old time. Old chubby Chris. He's got. I don't know what's happened to him. He's got rather rotund, hasn't he?
But didn't you say this last time? At Beast in the East, and then you said he could still go?
He can still go. He can still do the lion salt. As long as he can still do the lion salt, it's absolutely fine. He can look however he wants.
But I thought, he had a great outing at the Royal Rumble. I felt he was a bit sloppy on Raw.
Oh, you're being negative now. I mean, so now the tables are in reverse because I'm going to be praising the performances here, and now you're going to start shooting from the hip.
Yeah, you're going to praise the performance, but just tell him that he looks quite round and fat. That doesn't really work, does it?
You didn't think the same?
No, I thought he looked in better shape than last time.
Yeah, right.
But I thought he was a little bit slow on Raw. Like I mentioned to you, there was like a couple of moves that I wasn't too sure on. Mm-hmm. There was like the neck breaker that he does. That looked really awkward, the way Jericho come down. I don't know whose fault that was. And then obviously the pin at the end, I felt that was botched. And you're trying to convince us that Jericho was like just playing it to make it look like it was harder for him to go back, but I'm not convinced. Not convinced.
What's botched about it? What's botched about that roll up? I don't.
It just wasn't very smooth the way AJ kicked out, and it was supposed to go into the pin and Jericho, but it was like it kind of stalled on it, and AJ couldn't get his shoulders up. And I didn't know if it was just because Jericho was like not moving back as quickly, and it took him a while to do it, and that's why I felt like he was a bit sloppy. But you were like, oh no, it's not a case of that. Jericho's just, he's just playing it. He's got to make it look like it's a bit harder, and Nah, I wasn't having it.
was
It looked like a botch when I watched it the first time.
It was a sequence. It's a sequence. You watch it. He drops down, does Jericho and pushes forward, and then he gets to 2, and AJ, ruffles his shoulders up, and then Jericho, looks like he's struggling and puts him down. Simple as that. No botch.
Nah.
No botch.
I'm gonna have to take your role on this and be negative.
I thought the match was decent. I thought the match was in your opinion. I thought it was awesome.
It was awesome. So I don't know why we're complaining. It was an awesome match in terms of Raw. I thought it was really good, and the match he had on SmackDown against Axel, that was decent as well. But it wasn't as one-sided as I thought it would be. I thought it would be more of a squash match. So it was quite cool to see that he had the social outcast there, and they were all trying to get involved, and then managed to hit the Styles Clash, something that he'd been teasing so much at the Royal Rumble, also on Raw, and it kind of made me feel like, are they going to do this? Are they going to allow him to use it? It felt like when, Itami come in and he was teasing for the GTS and he didn't do it for so long. And with this one, I didn't know if it was a case of that, tease it and it'll mean more when you actually do it, or if it was a case of, because we had quite a few injuries over the last year or so, maybe they were a bit, reluctant to let them do that in the WWE because these wrestlers haven't taken that move before, and there's maybe a bit worry there about them receiving it.
Yeah, what is your view on the Styles Clash? Because that's something that is quite an interesting topic. I mean, I don't think it should be banned. I don't think it should be banned. But I can understand the watching it. This is the way I look at it. Before, when he was in TNA, he was nailing it left, right, and centre, and you just thought, well, it's just another move. But he's had these injuries. People in Ring of Honor. He's had that injury with a couple in New Japan as well. I think Yoshi Tatsu and a couple of others. And I saw the ending of that match, and I watched the way he did it with Curtis Axel, and I just begin something I haven't really bothered to appreciate before. I just begin to appreciate how difficult a move that is for your opponent to set up, to get ready for him to do the drop, and it's something I've never ever bothered to think about before. I've always thought, well, it's the opponent needs to all he needs to do is tilt his head back, but that's easier said than done when you're upside down. You've got to move your arms, which you can clearly see when Curtis Axel's doing it, is not as simple. You've got to get your arms back. Now, you've got to do this in basically 3 seconds, because he's going to get you set up and he's going to drop you. And so if your arms aren't sorted and you're still thinking about your arms, you're likely, and a natural move from a wrestler is to tuck his head in or move his head forward. And if you move your head forward and AJ comes down, he's going to land on your neck. So it's quite a lot of things to remember. You've got to get your arms back, AJ's got to get his legs over and sort them out, and you've got to tilt your head back just to ensure that AJ, when he comes down, doesn't land on your neck. And as I say, you might think that sounds quite simple to do, but try probably doing that upside down, everything's a bit backwards. That's a lot of things to remember, and you're doing it in a few seconds. And like I said, Styles doesn't really, from my watching of his move, he doesn't really give you that much time. So he's coming, whether you like it or not, and you've got to be ready. So I'm surprised that things like the curb stomp are banned. I'm surprised that, when we see the pile driver, which again is an easier move than the Styles Clash, from what I see, you're relying a lot more on the person delivering the move to keep you safe. And then we've got the Styles Clash where there's a lot more reliance on the actual person who's upside down to make sure they're ready to be safe. And that move wasn't banned. But I don't think it should be banned. But I just now appreciate the problems that can occur with this move. And when I watch this move, as opposed to me thinking, epic, he's nailed it, there is a side of me that thinks, oh, do I want to see this move? Because I get kind of worried that it could go wrong at any point. So that's where I sit on it. I don't really want to see it banned, but I have a different reaction to it than I would when he was in TNA.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. I think it all comes down to the people that's taking the move, because in TNA, it was a case of, everyone that took that move had been so used to it for so many years. I kind of felt like when he went to Ring of Honor and when he went to Japan, it was more a case of those were people that are just new to taking this move. They weren't used to taking it on a weekly basis like the TNA superstars were. And for that reason, maybe they weren't too sure about how to take it. I think in WWE, it's got to be a case of if they're going to use it, just make sure that they know how to take it. And it's not like something that they're taking for the first time and they're not sure how to do it, because an injury could happen just as easily as it has over the past. And I think it is a dangerous move. I think you've got a point there. But it's something that we have seen in WWE before with Michelle McCool using it quite a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's something that has worked in the past and there's been no injuries there. I don't think she ever injured anyone. But it's just a case of they need to get used to using it, because it's not a move that the male wrestlers have actually used before. So I think going forward, it should be okay. I'm sure they'll put everything in place to make sure people know how to take it. But yeah, I think it's one of them ones where it is a dangerous move, and it's only now that you kind of realise that because of those injuries.
Yeah, it's just that bit where you're trying to get yourself sorted. I just think that there's a lot to think about, and I used to think before, well, why don't just tuck your head back? It's not hard. It's not difficult to do, but it is, because it's not really a natural maneuver for a wrestler, is it? To tilt your head back when you're upside down. It's more you'd expect him to tuck his head in for most moves. So. I don't know. I was, like I said, I watched it and I kind of thought, oh, don't, and I shouldn't have to feel that way, but I do.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's like the pile driver that you mentioned. I think that's one of the moves that's been banned. And when you compare that to this, I think the Styles Clash is probably more risky, because it all depends on like the person knowing how to take it. I think the pile driver is pretty simple in terms of taking it. You kind of know to push up. Other moves like the curb stomp, they've been banned, and that's something that should be so easy to kind of protect yourself from. So putting them into perspective, I think Styles Clash is a dangerous move, but it all comes down to the person taking it, making sure that they're all clued up on how to actually take that move.
Yeah, no, totally. Where do you think? Well, actually, one other question on AJ Styles. What's your view on this whole commentary thing with originally him being billed like $1 million, like saying he's the same as Brock Lesnar, being an IWGP World Champion in New Japan Pro Wrestling, etc., etc. And then the next night he's become a kid and he's a rookie and he's not. Well, he's a veteran, but he's not. He's in the big leagues now and all this sort of stuff from JBL. Do you think that Vince has had a word in JBL's ear, potentially saying, tone it down a bit, don't overhype him? Because I find that a massive change in thought process there. Maybe they overhyped him, much to Vince's dismay, because he's a TNA guy after all.
Yeah, I kind of get that. It felt to me like, especially when I was watching Raw, I kind of felt, Vince is in his ear saying, don't put him over too much, kind of limit it. And I think the same thing kind of happened on SmackDown. We had Jerry Lawler and Mauro Ranallo, and Mauro was really putting over AJ Styles and his accomplishments. And King made a point of saying, it's new for him. He has to redo everything in the WWE. And the King had won so many different championships outside of WWE. But when he come to there, it was a completely different ball game, and he had to start afresh. And that's what AJ Styles now has to do. So it was kind of in my head saying, they've told them backstage, or they've told them, through the headsets, make sure to put him over, but don't do it too much, because we'll have to say, it's all about now. He's got to make these accomplishments in the WWE. This is where it matters. Nothing else before that does matter, which is kind of ridiculous when you go to the Royal Rumble and you've got, I think it was JBL saying he was the former IWGP champion, the same as Brock Lesnar, and putting him over that way, which I get. They're probably doing it on his debut to kind of put him over, which is something that you kind of have to do. But it was all a bit strange then doing the opposite on Raw and SmackDown and saying, we'll have to kind of limit this and not put him over too much, because he has to start out again. It's all about what he does in the WWE and not what he's done in the past.
Yeah, I don't really get why they just can't stick with it and be consistent and keep on saying, he's accomplished this, that and the other, and not do the belittling side. I don't think it's necessary. You can still be a heel commentator and recognise his achievements. So I think that kind of is a bugbear of mine. The only other thing I'd mention as well with AJ is it will just be interesting to see where he goes. I think he is definitely a contender for like a Money in the Bank briefcase. I think he'd look fantastic having that Money in the Bank briefcase. So for me, that's where I'd keep him going towards. I'd have him in some feuds, get him winning. A good feud with Kevin Owens maybe at WrestleMania could be cool as well. But yeah, I think that they've started off good with him. I just wish they'd just stop, like you say, the cheap digs on commentary. I mean, the one thing as well I noticed on social media was Joey Styles tweeted out something like, "Oh, it's a must-see AJ Styles on TV before WWE debut," and they showed old WCW footage. Why is that really a must-see? Like, he's been on TV for years. TNA. It's that whole obscurity thing with Sting all over again. It all just, to me, it's all a bit cheap, isn't it? I mean, the reason why like AJ Styles is over because he was a TNA original and then he's gone on to bigger and better things. But I can never get over the fact that they just blank that out and then they hype something like when he was in WCW. You know, it's like, well, that wasn't what made him, was it?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like something that they're really promoting now. If you go on WWE.com, it's like the main story, saying to watch it in WCW and see the first ever Styles clash. And I don't know. I think it's awkward that they don't bring up TNA and other things because it just adds to him and what he's accomplished in the past, and it makes him a bigger superstar and more of a draw to the WWE. But by not mentioning it, I can see why they're doing it from a business perspective. But I don't know, it kind of hurts Styles in the same way.
Don't really think you have to I just find like a story saying how amazing it was that he did the Styles. He was on TV. Like it's like, well, that's bollocks because he's been on TV all the time. You don't have to mention TNA. You just can say he's wrestled at other organisations on international TV. But it's just that silly WWE mentality again. But nevertheless, I think that having AJ there is good. He's being booked okay at the moment. He looks like he's going to wrestle regularly as well. So it's all positive in terms of AJ Styles.
Yeah. Well, they've even got like a photo gallery up at the minute. And that's AJ Styles before WWE. And obviously, I don't think there's any TNA in there. It's all Ring of Honor in Japan. So it's strange. It's just, he accomplished so much in TNA. A lot of it was really good. And it's kind of sad that they don't actually acknowledge any of that. Maybe, this time next year, we've talked about TNA's problems. WWE can just buy them out. And we can then mention everything that happened in TNA.
Yeah, they'll probably buy the rights to it anyway, won't they? The AJ Styles t-shirt sold out in like minutes as far as I know. So that's pretty awesome as well. So it shows that, the hype is there for AJ, which is definitely a good thing. So, yeah, all good. Speaking of debuts and well, actually AJ Styles was a return, wasn't it, Paul? To be honest with you,
it was a return technically.
Speaking of that, we had The Rock return this week to Monday Night Raw. Not in the manner that I thought we'd have The Rock return. I thought his segment when he arrived was really funny, like with the fact that The Miz and then the bit with Lana and all that bit backstage, Big Show about where he could have been if he'd won the Royal Rumble and stuff like that. It was all really good, but it's all culminated into a segment with the Usos. And what I found bizarre about it was, I mean, The Rock is, Roman Reigns' cousin and all this stuff, and yet The Rock didn't have any issues with Triple H. I didn't notice, unless I, have missed it. There wasn't any altercation between The Rock and Triple H, was there, on Raw?
No.
So what we're saying here is that The Rock has watched all of this happen, the screwing over of his cousin week after week, the way he's been treated, but The Rock came back to look after the Usos.
Oh, you're not being negative about The Rock.
Not Roman Reigns. Well, what are you again? I'm not negative. I'm pointing.
Maybe The Rock's just not a Roman fan.
Pointing inconsistency in storyline here. It's you've got The Rock come back, and The Rock doesn't eyeball Triple H in the slightest this week. You wouldn't thought that would have been a nice little segment to put in there for the fans to recognise that The Rock is watching and he's aware of what they're doing to Roman. Come on. This is not rocket science. This is simple. So the Rock at WrestleMania is going to maybe be in like a 6-man tag match with the Usos by the looks of it, if that's the way we're going to use The Rock.
But it was strange how he didn't actually announce anything for WrestleMania.
He said, "I'll see you at WrestleMania," and he was with the Usos.
He was talking to the crowd. He wasn't talking to the Usos, though.
I'm just saying to you that. All right,
could we see him in the championship match against Triple H, like they teased a while back?
And no, well, this is what I thought. I thought potentially we might look at having The Rock in Roman Reigns' corner, but he didn't even acknowledge Roman Reigns this week, so clearly he's not that fussed about it.
What if he appears to come out and help Reigns at Fastlane, and he just rock bottoms Roman Reigns?
That'd be good.
That'd be cool.
That. But you
won't complain about that, will you?
No, but do you think that then? Did you think that was the best way to book The Rock this week on Raw, was not to have any sort of acknowledgement of what's gone on with his cousin in like the last 6 months, not 6 months, but last few months with Vince, Triple H? Rock's fine with that, is he?
It was strange, I'll give you that. But as you so nicely mentioned before, I'm just happy WWE fan. I was just glad to see The Rock. I was like, yay, The Rock's back. And the segment backstage,
good.
It was so cool. It was like, The Rock's so happy, and he doesn't realize he's bringing all these people down. Poor Big Show. He's just like totally demoralized, crushed his laptop. Lana, Rusev, same thing. It was so cool. And I think a lot of that was probably done off the cuff from The Rock. I don't think too much of it was scripted. And I tweeted out when I watched it, it just goes to show, how good The Rock is in that situation when he's able to just go off the script, do whatever he likes. And it makes it such a more entertaining and just memorable moment. Whereas all these promos that we get, where they're strictly read off a story, off a script, and it doesn't come across with the crowd. It doesn't get that connection there like The Rock does. And when he came out ringside and he spoke to the guys, dressed up as Macho Man, Hogan and stuff, all that, like, it wasn't planned, but it was such a cool moment. And it's a shame that we don't get the rest of the roster actually doing any of that, or not given the opportunity to do any of that.
Yeah, it was a lot like when he had that face-off with Triple H, or I think it was on Was it on SmackDown?
I think it might have been.
And they went face-to-face, and that looked like it was done kind of, off the cuff a little bit, the way that they took the little digs at each other. And I thought, that was more like heated and intense, because it felt like it was a bit more organic than what they usually produce from the WWE side. So, I mean, when The Rock's allowed to be The Rock and be a bit more free, and I mean, implying that Lana is easy and things like that is not exactly your PG way of doing things, but when they do go there, things work. So, it puts you back to that point. How much longer are we going to have to persist with a PG product? Because it's clear when they go above and beyond that, things become more entertaining and more invested. So,
what do you think Vince's reaction was to the weed comment?
He's probably pissed about it, but The Rock gets a pass, doesn't he? What are you going to say to The Rock? I don't want you back anymore. Yeah.
Fire him, get rid of him.
So
Can't see that on TV.
So that's what I mean about it. That's just, it's that whole, it's a hypocritical thing, in it. The Rock can say it, but few people, anyone else on the roster will probably be fired for that. One thing I'd say as well is so what do you think in terms of the way that The Rock's going to go at WrestleMania? What's he going to be doing? Because
we've already seen him host a WrestleMania, so I don't think he'll go down that route. Mm-hmm. I initially thought he'd be in a match, but now I really don't know. It could just be that you'll be there, you'll have a promo like you did last year. I think it was last year.
This is going to make history, though, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I kind of see it being the Ronda Rousey thing, a mixed tag team match. I don't think that really works now. I think Ronda Rousey, because of that loss and everything, I think she's going to be concentrating on UFC and kind of getting that win back. I don't see her being at WrestleMania, so that kind of leaves The Rock open to do something else. I could only really see a match. I kind of see him being in Roman Reigns' corner. I don't think that's going to help Roman Reigns at all. I think that's going to hinder him, unless The Rock, turns on Reigns or costs him a championship, something like that. It doesn't really make any sense, though. That's the big problem. I think maybe we could see something at Fastlane, and then that leads to The Rock getting announced for a match at WrestleMania. I think it's anyone's guess at the moment. I think it's pretty hard because we haven't really got anything to go on.
Maybe Roman Reigns is gonna, just maybe they're angling towards that Triple H drops the belt before WrestleMania. I doubt it, but what might work a bit better is if you did have Dean Ambrose with the title, and then you can have this set up for this kind of tag match with Triple H with somebody, and then The Rock and Roman Reigns or something like that. I don't know. But I just think that the fact that they didn't acknowledge anything to do with Reigns with The Rock was a little bit odd, because you'd think that if they were going to angle towards anything with The Rock working with Reigns, they would have done it this week. So with them not doing that, maybe it was too late for them to filter that in. Maybe The Rock said, he was returning and they didn't quite know how to filter it in at the time. But it's a bit odd to me, because they're going to have to work that somehow later on then.
Yeah, it is. It's strange. Like, I'm interested to see where they go with it. But at the minute, other than sort of a 6-man tag team match, I'm not sure what they'll do. And if it is a 6-man tag team match, I don't think it's worth The Rock coming back for that. I don't think it's a big enough match to warrant The Rock wrestling at WrestleMania.
Want the Rock, yeah?
Warrant The Rock?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he actually does. But if he's just a host again, I think that's going to be a bit pants. So
yeah, anything but host. That's all I'll say.
So yeah, I mean that kind of brings us to the majority of this week's We Talk. We have got a few bits of news. It's just the injury list just keeps on growing from the WWE by the looks of it.
It is. It's not letting up. I'm sure they've been cursed or something. Something's gone down. Yeah,
because Nikki Bella is the one. Apparently, her injury was a lot more serious, I think, than what was originally expected.
Yeah, well, she had a slipped disc, a herniated disc in her neck, and apparently it says that this turned out to be a broken neck, so she'd gone in for surgery for it, and the labelling is career threatening at the minute. So it's a doubt as to whether she could return to the ring. They're going to have to wait and see how it goes. But the surgery was successful. So that's a good sign for her. It's just a case of now playing the waiting game, seeing, what that damage is once it's all healed up, and if it's going to be a risk to have her return to the ring or not. So maybe her days could be done in terms of an in-ring competitor. Don't know if she'll get cleared when Daniel Bryan's sitting there waiting for it for so long. Tough task.
Well, maybe Bree's going to pick up where she left off. Maybe.
Yeah, go Bree mode.
Yeah.
Can't see it.
Nah. I mean, it's good that she's on the mend. That's the main thing, and obviously the neck surgery was successful, so that's a definite positive. But yeah, it's like one of those things. So many injuries at the moment. It just keeps on racking up, and the WrestleMania card really needs probably some injection from maybe NXT or something like that to pick it up, because it's worrying the amount of injuries that we're getting. Well,
it was announced that Sheamus is in a cast at the moment because he's got tendonitis. Del Rio's out with a back injury. Naomi's out with an undisclosed injury. So, like I say, it just keeps growing and growing every single week. It seems to be another case of someone getting injured.
Yeah, maybe it's that schedule, It's pretty intense, travelling around, state to state, travelling across the overseas, wrestling non-stop pretty much. It's usually the same guys that are in the ring week in, week out. It's surprising that Roman Reigns hasn't picked up any injuries.
It is, and be devastating, wouldn't it? The week before WrestleMania. I think it is something like that. It's got to be a case of the need to give these guys a break. It's too much to ask to wrestle, pretty much every single day of the week.
Maybe they should just utilise more of the roster.
Maybe they should. But if you went these house shows and you got, the lower card turning up in the majority, then you're not going to be happy about it. So I think they feel like they have to put them on there. But maybe it's just a case of limit these house shows. You don't have to do so many.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, they're just, people are just getting burnt out and fatigue hits them. And then they, a lot of these wrestlers are so heavily, ripped in terms of muscle, then, the slightest mistake and that, you tear your muscle and you're out for a few months. So it's difficult. But I mean, I'm hoping that they get all on the mend. But we'll wait and see. What that WrestleMania card actually looks like.
Hopefully it's a good one. I think the Rumble for me said there's a few matches that we could get, but I don't know if it's going to go that way or not now.
We shall see. Now, last but not least, I think on this week's We Talk, we have to cover one more thing, because it was quite funny that on Twitter, I think we've got someone that's a little bit obsessed with the Sonny's tweets or the Tammy's tweets. I think we have someone who really is obsessed, and it's not you, Paul, is it?
I think this may be Scott.
Yeah,
Sonny's biggest fan.
He tends to. We really should acknowledge that he is Sonny's biggest fan. I think we can both agree on this, can't we?
I would say so. I mean, the J-Man's been trying to get in contact with her, but Scott just goes above and beyond. He even got replies from her.
Yeah, I mean, he tweeted about our comments on her tweets, and she came back. She didn't know what the hell he was talking about, but she found it funny that her tweets get quoted weekly or sometimes on this show. So I mean, we give Scott a shout out. We make sure she doesn't take any sort of injunction on you or anything like that, because be careful, be careful. I'm sure she's not going to mind, to be honest with you. Actually, she doesn't seem that way inclined.
She doesn't mind the promotion.
She does. She certainly doesn't. I heard that all the stuff about the Hall of Fame ring was all a bit of a rouge as well. Like it wasn't really being sold on eBay. It was
just like to get more promotion, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it's a bit of a funny one, isn't it, to be honest with you? But I mean, I found it quite interesting that he got a reply. So fair play to him. And I did have a tweet, if I can find it for you. You may need to fill one more time, Smacktalk.
This is like 3 weeks in a row now. You're not very prepared for this. This is all going to TNA yesterday.
Well, it is, yes, exactly. And I had quite a lot to drink, so, these things happen. These things happen. I can't find this tweet.
Is it a good one?
It was a good one. Where is it?
Was this from Sonny herself?
It was. It was in a response, though. It was a response.
Response is always the best.
I've gone past it.
Was this one that Scott sent you?
It was Scott and I think Mr. Hudson as well.
Hotline Hudson with all the news.
He is. He's like a regular feed. He loves it. I did have it. Ooh, he's got to fill it. Is this it? Oh
so
no,
unprofessional.
See that I've got all the bits where she was replying. She says she tries not to disappoint when she comes to her tweets, which is interesting. Oh, there it is. We've got it. Found it. Just click on it. So someone said, oh God, this one's bad.
This always worries us when you look for these tweets, and I'm like, well, what's coming next?
It's probably the best way to end everything. So the actual
to end everything, the world as well.
Pretty much. Well, the geezer's name worries me first of all. That tweeted her, because his name is his @ name is different to what his actual name is. His name is Big Dick. Yeah. So his name is Big, and it's @ MILF Lover 95. Yeah. So the MILF Lover said, "If I pay you, can you suck my dick?" From the Big Dick. Sonny's response, I don't know. Do you have to pay your sister? ? So, I mean, I don't know where these people... I think they just do it because they know they're going to get a response. And then she never fails to bite and send them the response. So, again, that will be this week's Tammy's tweet. Don't know. You have to ask him. Does he pay his sister?
We'll never know.
I'm sure if we ask Scott, he can find out for us.
Yeah, Scott will know.
So yeah, that pretty much, lowering the tone once again, draws us to another end of another wee talk. And make sure you get involved on all of the talking points this week. Maybe not that tweet, but let us know about if you went to the TNA shows, then obviously get involved in the comment section below what you thought of it. Did you find it a little bit too much, all of the chopping and changing there? The Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns' booking. Do you agree with me about the way that, was it too predictable with Triple H winning the Royal Rumble? Or do you agree with Smack Talks that it was an amazing Royal Rumble?
It was an amazing Royal Rumble. It was somewhat predictable, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The fact that Triple H won. We're all happy with it. We didn't want Roman Reigns to win.
Would you prefer Dean Ambrose to win? What did you think of Bray Wyatt's booking in the Royal Rumble? Are you agreeing with Smack Talks once again, where he thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread? let us know via the comment section below on those things. The Rock coming back to the WWE, AJ Styles.
Awesome. Amazing.
And what did you think of that match? Did you think there was a botch at the end? Which I certainly didn't, but, Smack Talks did. So do you agree with me? Do you agree with Smack Talks? I'd like to know. And then, of course, there's not much else to say because I'm not going to mention the tweet again. So, yeah. Have you got any shameless plugs this week?
If you want to check out the Smack Talks channel, then you'll have this as well. We'll have the second round of the 2K King of the Ring.
Yeah, we do indeed.
It's going well. We've also got some updated model textures for some of the divas, so you can check that out. Unboxings and news that 2K have signed a new contract with WWE, so we're going to get 2K Sports for the next couple of years, which is awesome to see. I'm loving what they're doing. This week in wrestling and Regeneration X, we've got a new trailer for Resident Evil's Umbrella Corps, I believe it's called. That looks pretty awesome. And El's also been uploading some Minecraft story mode, so make sure to check that out.
Oh, you're Minecrafting again, are you two?
Story mode. There's more Minecraft stuff coming in the future, but I'm not going to announce it just yet. Kind of just announced it.
Yeah, you kind of did. You kind of doubled up there.
See what you did?
Shock. Yeah, make sure you do go check out the 2K King of the Ring. All the videos are, I'm presuming this might go up before, but it might not considering the time. So, but nevertheless, make sure you check out the 2K King of the Ring tournament. It's been really good fun. That's the main thing I'd say. Very much.
It's been awesome. Great matches as well.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I think there is something for people to remember is that with these matches as well, we try to a degree to put on a decent match as well. It's not just like, spamming it and shit like that to produce crappy matches. Because you could easily just go out and do that, couldn't you? You just spam taunt and, just use like, I don't know, roll-ups.
It adds to it if you like put on a decent match. And the match I had last week, everyone commented about how good it was because there's so many finishers, so many kickouts, and regardless who won, it was a great match to watch. And I think if I hadn't obviously known the result, if I was sitting there watching it like I did with your match, then I think it's awesome just to kind of get involved and you have two YouTubers that you really like, you want to see them both progress. You kind of torn between the two, want to see who you go with. Yeah,
that's the main thing. It was just seeing. I like the fact if you don't know, like then it just adds a different perspective of it because you're just waiting to see the finish. So yeah, it was good. It's good fun, and make sure you do go and check them out. 2K King of the Ring, and who will be the king?
King of Kings.
Who will be the King of Kings? It won't be. Hopefully it won't be Triple H.
Wait, why'd you say that? It's got to be the King of Kings.
Just because we've talked about Triple H too much this week. So,
but he's the WWE champion. It's all looking up for him.
Yeah,
it's the perfect way to kind of cap that off.
It's kind of angling towards that, isn't it, at the moment? Anyway, guys, let us know by the comment section below. If you want to catch any of my stuff, then obviously check out Saturday Night Main Event. There's loads and loads of stuff going on there at the moment. New shows, certain new announcements. So, yeah, plenty of stuff for you to see. And, yeah, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Are you going to catch us later?
Catch you later.
Yeah, this is Delzinski and Smack Talks signing out.
Hi wrestling fans and gamers, Velvet Sky here, and I just want to say I've been hearing a rumor that Delzinski.com is the best place for video gaming and wrestling content.